I have to start by reading this because I need to make sure it lands. There was a version of me, fun, spunky, adventurous, a little bit wild, could flick my ponytail around, who got buried somewhere under years of caregiving and chronic pain, taking care of everybody else. I didn't lose her in one big moment. It was slowly over time. And sometimes I often think back to, I wonder if she never really fully got the ability to grow. She wasn't nurtured. She wasn't protected. We'll get on that in a little bit. I lost her slowly, piece by piece, or she wasn't nurtured. There's some parts there. She put everyone first. She was taught that from a very, very young age. And when I say she, I mean me. Even play hurt me. It got to a point, like I said in a previous video, where I couldn't even bounce a basketball without pain in my back. This is the story of how I got her back and why I built the porch. I've got credentials and I've got a story, which I think is part of what makes me different. I know it's what makes me different because here's my credentials. I became a registered massage therapist in 2009. I was a registered massage therapist for the last 18 years until recently when I retired from that career because I need to move into different things. I became a personal trainer. When I was 16, I remember being asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? I wanted to be a personal trainer and I wanted to be a group fitness instructor. But you know what stopped me? The pain. The pain in my back, the pain in my body that gave me the inability to do a workout class, let alone teach or lead a workout class. The inability to run and jump and play. And I tried it and then it stopped. Registered massage therapist, personal trainer. Here's the other part of the story. When I was 14, if you didn't watch before, you can go back and watch that one, or you can watch now. Coles noted it along the way. When I was 14, I had an injury that then turned into a lifelong, until recently, cycle of pain. And I, in my head, had a story of why things happened the way they did. As I started pulling the pieces of the puzzle together, starting in about 2000 or 2021, I had a story that I was telling myself that this caused this, which then caused this. And it was a conversation with my chiropractor, a friend, a person I was working with at the time, co-working with at the time, who said, actually, this is my understanding of it. And that reframed. So reframing, let's go there. Reframing is huge. Back up again. Bulge disc pinch nerve when I was 17 that stopped me from everything. A year later, I went back to it. But there was, at that time, it was like the early 2000s. And so physio at that time was just get on the table, here's some exercises, come back and see me in a few days or see me in a week, which was the cycle. And maybe you're in that cycle too, because sometimes therapies are like that. Disclaimer, sometimes they have to be at different stages of the journey, but they don't always have to be. And if they're staying that way, then there's a problem. So my physio would give me exercises, but it was just simple stuff. And so after a year of not doing anything, my rehab, my getting back out there was an hour-long spin class, followed by a 45 minutes SST, so superset strength training. Jen, you've not done anything for a whole year, and you're getting back to exercise by an hour and 45 minutes, pushing yourself hard. I am competitive. If you haven't seen that yet, you will see that at some point. I push myself. I don't know how to not. Making sure we're on here because, the worst would be to not have this. So I couldn't walk for a few days after those classes and thus created the cycle of do something, push hard, in pain, in bed, recover, get back out there. I competed at a very high level. I played college basketball, and then I came back home to do massage school, and Then I played for a Whitecaps soccer developmental team. I was the oldest on the team, and I made the team. I had the skill, I had the passion, but my body let me down. I remember one of the games, I couldn't run. Maybe I was running, but in my head, it was like I was running through mud and everything hurt. And so I would take Tylenol just to be able to play. I do things way differently now. And now, actually, I don't even need to. I could just lace up my boots and go, lace up my runners and go. So I have the credentials. I also have the story. And what really changed things for me, in 2001, I got some iron infusions because my iron was always low. Then it moved into starting to see different therapists. I have probably seen, I didn't come up with the numbers beforehand, but I have probably seen upwards of 10 to 12 different physiotherapists over the years. Chiro was always something that was on the back burner because I had some bad experiences with chiro when I was 14, and my back pain was so bad that my nervous system was just stuck. And so to just get cracked, that was always this pretzel move that you get, and then just, and it never really worked for me. So chiro was always off the table. I'd get some massage. I'd do physio. That was kind of the main thing that I did. And I'd do the exercises. I was pretty good at doing them. But then the cycle just continued until I saw an osteopath who was a friend that I went to massage school with. She carried on, did more training, went and saw her for osteo. Actually, let me rewind that a little bit. I saw a kinesiologist because I thought maybe if I get to the root a little bit more, kinesiologists have that deeper level of knowledge, and maybe I just need to restructure things. I did one of the exercises that the kinesiologist had told me to do, and it put me in bed with a migraine for 36 hours. I couldn't do anything. Went back to see her and told her of the experience, and she went, "That's weird." Like, it was a very simple exercise, but the way my body responded to it was very abnormal based off of how I look, right? When you look a certain way, people expect you to be able to live a certain way. And when there's dissonance between those two, it is a mind bend. So the kinesiologist suggested that I go see an osteopath, and working with my friend, the osteopath, sent me to the level of, "Jen, you've got some ligaments and some joints that are just really unstable. So your whole nervous system is just on overdrive for lots of different reasons, but especially ligaments aren't stable. You don't have that stable foundation." So that led me to getting PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. Take your blood, spin it, put it back in, the good stuff, in my SI joints and in my ankles. For me, my journey was, or my experience was, my ankles affected my SI joints and affected my back. Maybe have you had ankle injuries in the past? Did you run and jump and play when you were younger and your ankles aren't stable? Your feet, your ankles, they are the base and the foundation of support for everything. And how much do we actually pay attention to our feet and our ankles? We pay attention to the place where we have pain. We pay attention to the place where we hurt. So that led me to getting PRP done, which is platelet-rich plasma. So they take your blood, they spin it, they take out the platelets, they take out platelet-rich plasma, they take out the plasma, the part of your blood that is part of healing, and they put it back into the ligaments, because ligaments don't have blood flow. Ligaments don't heal on their own, but with a new injury, the body works to repair it. PRP was life-changing for me. I got access to muscles I hadn't had brain wiring to. I actually remember, though, at one point, working on some ankle stability exercises, and I could feel in my head almost like a hole in my brain that was not connected to my right ankle. I have worked a lot with my nervous system, with my physical nervous system, in how my brain wires my muscles and wires my body. And I've also worked a lot with my emotional nervous system. And what I mean by that is how I handle my pain, how I handle my kids, how I handle my life. Because at the same time as all of this big journey was going on, as well as being a mom to young kids, I was also a caregiver for my parents. My dad was diagnosed in 2018 with behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia. I was the go-to. I was the assistant caregiver. My mom was his main caregiver, and I was the secondary. I was the emergency that came in to fix things when things went sideways. I was her support, her emotional support. I was the logistical coordinator for everything. Here's the very interesting piece also that I just figured out recently. I'm rabbit trailing a little bit with my story from the physical side of it, but this is why I'm rabbit trailing. And then I'm going to get on to other stories of other clients. So if you've hung on this far, I really appreciate it. It took me until recently to realize and figure out that my pain that started at 14 when it was an injury also started right around the same time when my dad lost his most favorite job and money became a struggle for my parents. Being the empathetic caregiver that I am, that I was raised to be, as well as that I was created to be, because there are some pieces there for all of us, my pain started. And my pain went away the same month we unfortunately had to place my dad into long-term care. The load of that extra caregiving, of taking care of my dad and taking care of my mom at the same time as kids, at the same time as business, at the same time as figuring out my body, the pain went away. So it was a combination for me, I fully believe, of being relieved of the stress that caregiving and motherhood had placed on my body, that sandwich caregiving, as well as putting all the physical pieces back together. So that's a long rabbit trail of a story, and I'm sure I could add more pieces to it. I'm sure I could pull out some pieces so that it's not so long and convoluted. Not convoluted, but not so long. Let me get to some clients. There was a massage client I had quite a while ago that lives in Switzerland. Her husband is from Canada. They had come back. She was in a lot of pain. I was recommended for her. And so she came to see me. Came for a couple sessions. And I still remember to the day the area of her body that I was working on, talking through all the different types of therapies she had gone to, the different types of therapists she had seen, and no one had been able to figure it out for her. No one had put the pieces together of what was going on. And it was a question that came to mind that God gave me to ask her as I was working on that area. So we had done some exercises. We had started working on some mobility, some functional movements that were a little limited for her. But I asked her this question. I said, what happened in your life around the same time as when the pain started? Pretty quickly, she knew there was something that had gone on in her life that happened around the same time that the pain started. She went home. I suggested her homework that day. And again, this is outside the scope of massage. And so this is why I can't do massage anymore, because this is where the expanded box needs to be, or the doors need to be blown off of the box. She went home. She journaled out. She prayed. She journaled out all of the pieces that had happened in her life around that same time. And her pain went away. And I saw her years later, and the pain had never come back. And still to this day, the pain has not come back. That is how powerful our nervous system is. That is how powerful the emotional response is to certain things that happen in our lives. So here's my homework or recommendation for you. What happened in your life around the same time that your back pain started? Again, this is going outside of the scope a little bit of one area of things. And so this is where therapists are great, because this might be a piece that you need to see a counselor to help you work through things. This might be a piece that you need something to help you work through some things. Here's one of my very favorite recovery stories. I have full permission to share all of these pieces as much as comes out. I have a client named Patricia. We call her Pat. She was recommended to me by a friend who came and saw my booth at a wellness fair that I was sitting at a couple years ago. The friend put me in touch with Patricia. Patricia had lost her husband 4 months before. Prior to that, she had a back injury that led to surgery. And the back injury gave numbness and tingling and loss of movement down one leg. While she was recovering from that back injury, from that back surgery, she fell and broke her opposite hip. Super awesome, hey? She was 77 at the time. When I first started seeing her, she wasn't walking. She used canes, she used supports, she used aids. She wasn't walking. She could walk around her house, but she wasn't going outside for a walk. She wasn't driving. She wasn't anything. I started seeing her, started working with her, started working with her nervous system, started giving her the support that she needed in the ways that she needed it. Within a month or two, maybe a month or, we got her walking outside, short distances, using all the aids that she needed. Within 3 months, she was doing some driving lessons to get driving again. And the successes continued to happen. And now she's in one of my seniors workout classes. She just turned 80. And on Monday, when she turned 80, she held a plank for 80 seconds. She is lifting 12-pound weights. She is moving in all of the ways that she can. She still has a few limitations, but she works around the limitations. She is not letting her limitations limit her life. And I'm so proud of her and so excited. And the stories could go on. I have more. I have my own and I have the client stories. And I look forward to seeing what your story could be, whether it's working with me, whether it's working with somebody else. Like I've said again and again, I really hope that watching this funnel, watching this series shows you that there is hope, that you can get better, that you will get better, that this back pain will go away. I want to end here. I want to leave you with this. You are not broken. You've been carrying too much for too long, probably carrying too many people for too long. And that's a journey that each and every one of us, women, moms, caregivers, sandwich generation caregivers have to learn. Let me look you in the eyes and tell you this. You deserve a life that is full of fun and adventure and whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, wherever you want. And if you're 30 or if you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s or your 70s or your 80s, it is not too late. There is something that can be done. We can figure it out. One more video. In the last video, I'm going to walk you through my starting place. I'm going to walk you through how I've built this method. The unwind method is my starting place. You could start today. You could watch that next video and then start today. So please don't skip that next video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you over there.